welcome you to the SHN Sports Georgetown Eagle Spring Football Previews. First year we've done this. Joining me right now, head coach Chuck Griffin. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Kelly, man, I'm glad to be here.
Appreciate you taking the time. You know, at the end of football season every year after the Super Bowl, I start having football withdrawals, so it's nice to be able to get back and start talking about football.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, baseball just ties me over till football season gets here.
I got you.
So, had a good season last year. Young team at the time. Defense played pretty well at times. Let's just for a minute, let's talk about just review last season. What are your overall thoughts to the season?
You know, I'm proud of the way our kids responded. You know, when you're down, when you're sitting there at 1-4, man, you can't sleep at night because you're worried about, man, could we be 1-9? You know, that's the fear a coach has, and the psychology of the team is such, man. That's one of the things you're trying to figure out so that you don't end up in that predicament. Because we know, I mean, we were really, I mean, you could pick one play in each game, and we were 5-0, but we're sitting there 1-4, and so you just gotta. I've been part of those seasons, and it kind of snowballs, and it can happen quick. So, man, I'm just proud of the way the team responded when we put pressure on them. When proud of the way our coaching staff responded and just never gave up and continued to develop and put our kids in situations to win. And you know, and then all of a sudden things started clicking, and we did start winning. And we're able to win a few straight and get on into the playoffs and won a big playoff game. So, man, proud of the way they finished strong and competed. And I mean, that's what we're trying to develop, right? I mean, I would love to win every one of them and win state championships, but really we're trying to create men and champions and good citizens, and they responded well to adversity, and that's what you want as a coach.
Right. Well, and you know, the preseason pundits and all that had Georgetown third or fourth usually in the district, just depending on who you're reading, but at the end of the season, these kids were playing just about as well as anybody in the district.
Yeah, I mean, really, in our losses, there was really one team that beat us. You know, the rest of them, it was really kind of on us. We made some mistakes, and you know, and even the last game. I mean, the last game, man, we were on 11 turnovers on the whole year, and we had 5 in the last game. And you know, we're only 3 points down in the fourth quarter. So, you know, I really think that was a winnable game for us as well. So. Really, you know, we should have been playing for second spot or really playing the last game of the year for the district championship. And I've got to do a better job as coach of getting us in that position and getting our coaches ready and our kids ready to be in that position.
Looking back, you know, great win first round of the playoffs against a tough Dripping Springs team. I don't think anybody gave Georgetown a chance to win that football game except you and the kids. And you know, not much defense that night, but you have the last second interception to seal the game by Drayden Dickman. Talk about after that game. I mean, we always talk about the last loss of the season because only one team walks away from the season celebrating. But talk about that win and the aftermath of that win.
You know, man, it was fun. That's a fun game to be part of. It's a fun game to end. It's stressful when you're in it, man. It was, you know, we just had some things roll there early in the game, and we knew it was going to have to be that. We knew we were going to have to take chances. We knew we were going to have to create some extra offensive possessions. So we knew that going in. That was the way we planned to run the game. You know, we were going to get after them as quick as we could and try to jump on them. And we're able to go down and score, get a defensive stop, score again, and get the onside kick. And, man, I looked up, and it was 21-0, and there's 10 minutes and 15 seconds left in the first quarter. And I was just like, man, clock run, please. You know, I was ready for the clock to run. But, you know, those are fun games. You know, really most things were clicking on the night. Obviously, they got a Big 12 quarterback. I mean, they were really good offensively. The running back is a stud. I mean, they were really good. And we made it a few stops, you know, when we needed to. Defense made some early. You made 3 or 4 stops early in the game that were really big. And then, of course, the final drive stop was big as well. So, man, it was just exciting to see that, exciting to be a part of it, exciting for my coaches. You know, there's a picture of this somewhere. I went over when we intercepted the last ball, and I gave Coach Beatty a big hip check, and he just collapsed. I mean, he just fell on the ground, and because I've been in his shoes, and when you can't miss as a play caller, like everything has to be on. And I've been in those shoes, and it's tough, man. You play the whole game that way. So I was just excited for our coaches and our kids to have success that night.
So speaking of staff hitting the floor, I do want to quickly check on H. He all right? I saw that video where
he had a little seating accident the other day in the training room, but yeah, he's fine.
Well, and now we've got joining us Wally Harmon, play-by-play voice of the Georgetown Eagles. Wally, we've started the interview, but we're just wrapping up talking about last season.
Coach, I guess my initial question is, what's your overall satisfaction of last year? I thought we had good things happen, but I thought we had a challenging pre-district schedule, which you love to do. What's the overall thought from the coach's perspective?
Obviously, I think I've got to do a better job of getting us in a position to win more football games. I really felt like there was really just one game where our opponent was better than us all year. The rest of the games felt like, man, we had a chance to win every one of them and should have. So, man, I've got to do a better job. My staff does about getting us in position to finish out those games. But what I told Kelly was, man, I'm so excited for our kids and proud of our kids of the way that they handled adversity, the way that they came back from being 1-4 and to play in the second round of the playoffs. And that's a really big deal. To show that they can do that as human beings, as young men, that they can handle adversity and come out a winner is really big.
I think one thing that stuck out as we've been in the offseason, Coach, that speaks volumes to you and your staff, are a lot of these kids are getting commitments to the next level to play. It's just been fun to watch on Twitter, to follow these kids and to see what you guys were able to develop. Even a lot of these linemen, that one is what spoke volumes to me. To see these players going to the collegiate level to showcase their skills, get better. And I think that speaks volumes to your staff in preparing these kids in a short amount of time, that they get them at the starting positions, that they get them on more field time. How does that, as a staff, how do you guys like seeing that and for these young men?
Man, we love to see that. Anytime our kids have a chance to go on and play the next level, that's what they want to do. Man, we want that to happen. So we really work hard at that. We work hard as a coaching staff and work hard as a program to get our kids out and get them in the position to do that if that's what they want to do. It's difficult. And, just proud of our kids finding places to go. And, I mean, we got one going to Minnesota and, we got some staying here in Texas and going all over. So it's exciting to see that. I'm glad it works out for them when they do. And, we challenge them on who they represent and what they've got to do now, and then also challenge them from the standpoint of, man, this isn't all there is to life. So make sure you do a great job when you're in school of not letting this be your identity and be who you are and go out there and be a great Georgetown Eagle and go turn into a great man and a great community member.
Coach, we would be remiss, you're talking about the staff. We would be remiss if we didn't mention that a legend in Georgetown Eagle football has pulled the trigger on retirement. Coach Pat has stepped away. And give us your thoughts on that.
Man, that is difficult to see. Man, Coach Pat's been here, I think, since 2007. So I think 14 years, maybe 15 years as a coach here. And it's hard to see that when they decide to do that and step aside. But, man, so thankful for David and, man, all his work. I mean, I went to battle a lot with that guy over the years. And, man, he always did a great job preparing his kids. He's a ball coach now, and he's the very definition of what they should be. And, man, just so proud of him and what he's been able to do and what he's been able to build here, and thankful for him and Kelly and what they were able to do. So, man, wish him nothing but the best. I'm not sure he's done. I'm thinking he might be back in another year or so somewhere coaching on the sideline. I think that's probably a little bit of what he's going to do. But, man, just
Kelly
proud for him and excited for what he's got in his future.
Kelly may make him get a new job.
Yeah, it's true.
So with the changes now, we lost some valuable contributors from last year's team. Of course, you know, Darson Herman's the first one that you're going to talk about from last year's team. But last year's gone. It's over. New season coming in. New district. Talk about what you got coming back player-wise.
You know, we've got some really good players coming back. We've got a really small senior class this year. Just kind of works that way. And really, it's in our 23 class, really in all sports for whatever reason. It's just small athletically, you know, and I think in every major sport we have. So got a small group of only about 27 seniors, which this past year was 42, 56 the year before. 56 was really large. We're really 35 to 45 or so. So anyway, we've got some challenges there, but I think we got some really good players coming back. You know, Broden Elliott, center, was a district offensive lineman of the year, is coming back. It's going to do a great job. We've got Marquise Dominguez and Dre Dickman that do a great job on the outside. Andrew Petter played everywhere for us on the offensive side last year, and he'll be back and be our feature back this year. So those guys are back and ready to go. You know, defensive line wise, we got Brandon Stovall back. We got Ian Lewis at linebacker, although he might be looking at a position change a little bit this year, and we'll see how that goes in spring football. And then Luis Diaz in the back end is back, and we've got some other guys who contributed all along the way. You know, and Ian Sanders played a little bit for us. He's going to be back. Jacob Faltasek played some for us. He's going to be back. Tucker Griffin will be back. He'll be our quarterback this next year, and he played some for us last year. So, you know, so we've got some other guys back and that had some valuable experience. Are going to be able to help us out.
Even though the senior class is kind of small, the guy you had. What, 4 sophomores start last year?
6. So throughout the year, we had 6 sophomores start, you know, so
yeah,
we start at least one game, those 6 sophomores. So all of those guys are coming back. Michael Valenta is the other defensive lineman who played throughout the entire year, and he's coming back as well. So he's one of those sophomores. So, you know, we got those 6 guys coming back and about 4 or 5 juniors. So we've got a little bit of experience. You know, we're going to be putting a lot of new offensive linemen out there again. New linebacking core, really. So that'll all be some changes there. But I think we've got some good youth coming up. So still really going to be a young football team again. We were young last year. Going to be a young football team again this year, even though we got a little experience.
Well, and that's one of the things I was going to ask you about. Young, but some decent experience back there, because even the linebackers that are going to be new to starters this year got a little playing time last year.
Yeah,
right?
they played some last year and played a lot on special teams. You know, like that's where Tucker made his mark, was on special teams. Jacob Faltasek made his mark on special teams. So those guys that have been on there and been in that role, they've got some good game experience. So they should be set as we go into this year.
Coach, one thing you don't see anymore a lot throughout these programs, especially as you get into 5A, 6A ball, is multi-sport athletes.
Yeah.
And you've got several. Getting to watch some basketball this year, Darson Herman impressed me. Andrew Petter, Marquise Dominguez playing basketball. Faltasek, I believe, is playing baseball. Another a couple other guys playing baseball. What does that say to your program and to you as a coaching staff? Do you guys encourage that? Do you want these kids to expand themselves and to stay in condition? Or
absolutely. That's a big thing for us. We really push multi-sport athletes. We want our kids to play multiple sports. We want them to be involved in other things in school. You know, here's the deal. I mean, I would love to have them training year-round like a college athlete to some degree. But the reality of the deal is they don't need that. They need to go play and be put in competitive situations. You know, a kid pitching on the mound, that's going to make him a better football player because he's in a competitive environment. He's in a competitive situation. So, you know, a kid sitting at the free throw line, having to make a couple of free throw lines, that's going to make him a better football player because it's going to make him a better competitor. So I think that's really big. And that's what we shoot for, is we want our kids to play multiple sports. You know, we're pushing right about 70 guys in track right now, you know, and on our track team, and you know, a good 30-something of those plus are football players. So I think that's really big. You know, we got Michael Valento go to state in powerlifting. Broden Elliott just missed state as a wrestler. was a regional wrestler and just missed state. So we really push extracurricular activities outside of football.
I know this is a football conversation, but there has been a great deal of success athletically at Georgetown High School this year, and that's been fun to watch. And you follow all the sports,
right?
You went to the state swim meet, right?
Yep. I was state swim meet one day and state wrestling meet the next day. So yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
he showed up at
great. I mean, we've got that. I mean, that's what speaks volumes about our school, about our administration. Is man, we want to take care of the whole student. We want all of our students to be involved, and I think it's kind of unique. I was listening to a principal the other day. I think we're just over 80% of our students are plugged into some type of curricular activity. You know, they're in, whether that be choir or band or FFA or auto mechanics or their football program or whatever. They're in some sort of extracurricular activity, and man, that's huge. They gives players a place to belong, and our students a place to belong, and something to be a part of.
It's incredible. Well, with the changes, last season being gone, we're getting ready for spring football this year, but new district realignment took place. I know that's got to be exciting, if nothing else, for you.
It is. It's exciting. It's going to be challenging, man. We ended up in a really tough district. We're picking up College Station, who lost in overtime, you know, in the state championship game. We picked up A&M Consolidated, who I think they won 11 games themselves last year. So we picked up some really good football programs. You know, we picked up Glenn, who's an up-and-comer. We know we scrimmaged them last year, and they ended up being a really good team. We got them late in the season, which is going to be tough. And then we picked up Eastview, you know, so that's going to be exciting to kind of rekindle that rivalry. And it's one of those games when you play that game, you never know who's going to win just because it's a rivalry game. So, man, we got a tough district, and it's going to be fun to get out there and go play and, you know, get to travel a little bit. We haven't done that. We got traveling to our scrimmage, traveling to we're not traveling much this year. Next year we got a lot of travel. Our JV kids are going to have to travel this year. But
so, what, 6 of these 7 teams were in the playoffs last year? Is that right?
Yeah.
6 of the 7. So there's going to be a couple of good football teams staying home this year.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it is a really tough football district.
And I think Leander is the only team that didn't make the playoffs last year, but they were a solid.
Yeah.
You know, you hate to say they had a losing record, but they were in some dogfight games last year.
Yeah, they were for sure.
So, you know, we talked last season saying, well, you can't overlook anybody. Well, that's even more true now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you got to prepare to win every game here from a standpoint of that, man. Everybody's really good in our district. There's no slouches. So, you know, we're going to have to be ready to go win some really tough football games.
Coach, the Eastview coming back on the schedule and being in the same district, you guys play that up, these players, or do they play it up themselves? Throughout the year, this past year, seeing you at the game, at Eastview at the basketball games, we chatted, even though you made fun of my sweatshirt, wearing Eastview stuff. But everywhere we went for any sport, you coaches were there. Does that fuel the fire for these kids? Does that push them to go, okay, now our coaches are involved, we want to even make it worth more?
You know, I think that's just the way that we coach. The guys that I like to hire is I want them to be relationship-oriented people. You know, I talk to our kids all the time that, look, before you win championships, you got to be a champion as a person. You know, and you don't win championships and become a champion. You become a champion and then you win championships. And so I mean, those are the kind of people that we try to hire. Those are the coaches that we try to keep on staff, and we want guys that are going to be involved in our kids' lives. And you know, so we go to those other events. You know, especially my other coaches that are teaching in the classroom. I mean, they see all those other students in the classroom. You know, so going to those other events are really big. And you know, so we want to promote that and do that as much as we can. And so we try to go to all those events. And you know, as far as the Eastview battle goes, I mean, that's a big deal that we don't really push. It takes care of itself, you know, because it's a local battle and it always takes care of itself. But we're not going to be one who pushes the Eastview. You know, we got to beat Eastview. We got to beat Eastview. we got to beat Eastview because it's the next game on the schedule. That's the mentality that we're going to take with that, and not going to be that we're going to hang and put all our eggs in the basket of beating Eastview. It's just that's who's on the schedule next, and that's who we got to beat. Is going to be the mentality that we take for the game.
From a fan standpoint, I'm glad to see that game come back, and it's the ins and outs of the district swaps and all that is all well and good, but I'm glad to see that game come back, and I love rivalry games.
Yeah.
And, especially a game like this, I went to a high school that had one of the biggest rivalries in the state, one of the most well-known rivalries in the state. And that Friday night, man, it's war, but all the kids know each other. And that's the deal with the Eastview game. All these kids have grown up playing sports together.
Yeah.
So
sure.
This could be a friendly, really good rivalry, and I'm excited it's back.
Yeah, I am too. It's going to be fun to go out and play for sure.
So spring football's coming up, and start getting ready for this next season wholeheartedly. And here's the schedule for spring football. Starts April 21st, and then the blue and white game is May the 19th. Talk about what you're hoping to accomplish during the spring.
We got to figure out how to get better. That's a big thing. Figure out who can play. It's really big for your linemen. It's really big. A lot of skill guys, we can do that kind of stuff without spring football. But your linemen, to get in there and move somebody around, that's a tough deal. So we got to be able to do that and see that. And then we've got some coaching staff changes that are coming up, with a few guys moving on. And so it's important for those guys to get here and learn what they're doing, learn their role, learn how it fits. And you're making some changes defensively. So it's going to be really important for our guys to get out there and see that in spring football.
With the coaching staff changes, will any of the new coaches be here for the spring? Or
yes, they will. In some form or fashion. We're working on all that stuff right now. So there's all kind of the legal human resources aspect you got to go through with all that, and so we're working on that right now.
Right.
It's not college football. I just don't get to say, hey, he's working here now and throw a bunch of money at him and he comes on. There's a lot of stuff that we got to do to make sure it happens.
Well, with the changes that you're going to be making on defense, what's the big challenge going to be? The defensive coordinator implementing new system, or?
That's a big thing. He's got to get here and evaluate the staff, evaluate the kids, see how they all fit into what we want to do and how we're going to do it. So that's what spring football's for. We'll actually start going outside in shorts the week after we get back from spring break. And we'll start doing some dry run stuff in shorts most of the week, every week leading up. So we'll get about 16 or 17 workouts leading up to spring football where we're in shorts and T-shirts, but we're going through some sort of a short little football practice every day. So we'll be doing that, kind of getting ready for spring ball, and then be able to hit the ground running when we get into spring.
So let me ask you a scheme question. At the high school level in particular, do you kids to the scheme or the scheme to the kids?
A little bit of both. As a coach, you're going to be who you are. You're going to have to work with what you're comfortable with, but also we don't get to recruit. So we got to take who we got and we've got to adjust our plan accordingly. So, when we say we're multiple offensively, we are multiple. I haven't run the quarterback like we did last year, maybe in my whole career. But that's who we were last year. And that's what helped us. This year will be different. So that's got to be the mindset as coaches. We're not changing who we are. We're not throwing out the everything. We're going to tweak what we can do and change what we can do. I think as a coach, your playbook has to be really big, and then you're only going to execute a small part of it during the season. So you got to have a mindset of all the things that you can do and then fit that to your kids.
The seasons that your younger teams had last year, your freshman teams having great years, JV playing well. How important is that as they filter up now and that you start feeding them up into the varsity area to push your varsity players?
That's huge. That's a great thing with our kids in our program is having 5 football teams. Our kids get a lot of they get a lot of practice and a lot of game time before they're ever on the varsity field. So I think that's huge. We've got, we had a couple of seniors last year, one of them who signed to go play college football the other day, and he was a B team freshman kid, and he's a B team sophomore kid, and he's a JV kid as a junior, and then he comes out as a starter as a senior, and now he's going to go on and play college football. If we don't have that fifth team and he's got to play JV earlier and he doesn't get to play, you don't even know if that kid's going to still be playing football. He might have hung it up because he didn't get to play as a sophomore, So I think that's vital to our success. My coaches do a great job of planning and preparing for those games. And those are going to get more difficult this year. We're going to be in a league where the coaches are doing more of that, and they're doing it similar to the way we do it. So the games are going to be a lot more competitive. College Station and A&M Consolidated are going to run great programs, and they're going to put some really good sub-varsity programs out there on the field.
Oh, and that's going to help. That we've talked about it with the scheduling. Tough preseason scheduling that's going to be coming up, or pre-district scheduling. When you look at that schedule, you're seeing Rudder, which I don't know a great deal about Rudder. Copper's Cove, 6A team, Vista Ridge, quality program, and of course perennial 5A D2, but perennial state contender in Liberty Hill. So, those tough pre-district games at the varsity level are important, but we're playing pretty much the same pre-district schedule sub-varsity too, right?
Yeah, we're playing the same. For the most part, we play the same sub-varsity schedules, especially freshmen and JV Silver. JV Blue, they got to search some more. That's our fifth team. They got to search a little bit more for some of their games, but really, I think 7 of those games will match up for them, at least 7 of them. So they've got some tough competition too.
And you like seeing it. It's fun getting to be around the program, and we thank you for letting us being so open to us to be around the program and be a part of it and getting to know these kids and the coaching staff. It's a lot of fun to watch these kids grow and develop, and that was so much fun last year watching a brand new offensive line, bunch of new starters on defense really start to develop as athletes, as football players. And that's a lot of fun. It's got to be satisfying for you as coach.
Absolutely. It's fantastic as a coach to see that development and see our coaches and in our, in our program move in that right direction. That's what we always want. So it's exciting to see.
You talked about the development of the kids, not only on the football field, but as players. And I have the honor of traveling the country and teaching leadership classes to law enforcement supervisors all over the United States and administrators as well. And one of the things that we emphasize in that class is excellence, the expectation of excellence. And I know you guys push that as well. How difficult is it to get a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid to understand that excellence is a lifestyle, not just a switch that you flip?
That's what we spend the majority of our time doing is helping teach that. So it's a difficult process. If you've ever had any teenagers in your house, you realize that that's a difficult process.
One of my teenagers.
Yeah, that's part of it. And that's one of the main things we do. We spend a lot of time in the spring. We do something with our kids. They come in one day a week. They come in early. They get a character lesson. They've got some homework in that character lesson, and then we follow it up the next day at breakfast. We finish a little early so our coaches can go eat breakfast with their kids in the cafeteria, and we follow up with that the following day. So, that's a constant thing for us. We do in the spring. We really work at that. That's an expectation of our administration and an expectation of me as a coach that I have for our staff and for our kids, that we want to grow in character. We want to grow in wisdom and in stature, and we want to make sure that we are learning how to become excellent men.
Well, and in the conversations you and I have had, and I see in your post, the spiritual aspects of it for you are important. And it's not something that, where we are in society today, it's not something that you can throw up banners on, and et cetera, but that carries over to how you conduct your business and how you run this team and how you run this program, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my faith is an important part of who I am and what I do, and I can't proselytize and from that standpoint, but it's just who I am, and so I think it comes out a little bit in that, and you know, which I would expect if something's that important to anybody, I would expect it to come out in their behavior and their actions and the way that they treat people. So it comes out in the way that I run a program, the way that I treat our kids, and I've got high expectations for them, and so I think it's a great place to be, and you know, to have that kind of influence, and I appreciate that. I appreciate our administration trusting me with that, and appreciate our parents trusting me with their kids every day. I think that's a huge part of it too, is understanding the humility that I've got to have, because that, you know, 220 something sets of parents are lending me their kids, and I've got a big role in teaching them and helping them grow. And I mean, they can be a great college football player, fantastic, but the primary driver is what kind of man can they be. So that's just a big part of who I am and what our administration expects out of our program.
Well, Coach, we know you're busy and you got some other stuff to do. We appreciate you taking this time today. It's always a pleasure and a lot of fun talking with you about football, and we appreciate that. So thank you for taking this time.
You got it, Kelly. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Folks, that's head coach Chuck Griffin, your Georgetown Eagles football head coach, and that's our spring preview. So come on out May the 19th for the blue and white game, and get a little preview of what to expect this coming season. Coach, thanks again. Best of luck during the spring, and we will see you many times. I
All right. You got it, Kelly. Thanks, man.
All right. Thanks, Coach. And folks, thanks for joining us. I'm Kelly Duvall with SHN Sports. We'll see you next time.